Good morning or good afternoon to all of you. My name is Bianca Nijhof. I'm the Managing Director of the Netherlands Water Partnership and the water track leader for this Dutch virtual mission to Southeast Asia. The mission started on the 12th of October and will run until the 11th of December. I would like to warmly welcome you to this webinar, Going Digital, Measuring, Modeling and Managing Water. This webinar is conducted in collaboration with the Dutch Embassy in Malaysia and Asia Water. And instead of our regular physical meetings, our missions have now gone virtual because maintaining and further strengthening our connections is vital to achieving further progress on important themes such as water. Last week, we kicked off the water track with an event broadcasted live from a studio in the Netherlands. And there we focused on the themes of land subsidence and nature-based solutions. Today, we move over to water technology, the very current topic of digital water. I'm really looking forward to the discussions today and know that there's much we can learn from one another. This session also offers a great opportunity to meet other parties. So let's make sure to connect with each other. And please do visit our Netherlands booth in Asia Water, which takes place from the 30th of November to the 3rd of December. But for now, I would like to pass the word to our moderator for today, Mr. Hein Molenkamp, Managing Director of the Water Alliance.
Thank you, Bianca, for your opening words, and welcome also from my side to this digital water session called Going Digital, Measuring, Modeling and Managing Water. It is part of the water track, as Bianca already mentioned. My name is Hein Molenkamp, Managing Director of Water Alliance, a Dutch network organization focusing upon water technologies, in which, of course, digital innovations play an important and growing role. Digital technologies will become more and more important and be necessary as well if we want to cope with the quickly increasing number of challenges we face in the world regarding the availability of enough clean water for the ever-increasing number of people on our planet. Also, the climate change challenges ask for new solutions in the field of flooding and also in the field of drought issues in many places of the world. Digital water is the use of real-time data in the water sector to enable and improve decision-making in complex environments, optimizing resources, reducing costs, and avoiding disruptions. Digital technologies can improve data collection and analytics to support proactive decisions and increase water efficiency. These technologies can be instrumental, detect, measure, record, interconnect systems, and analyze and optimize. Smart systems can provide accurate and up-to-date information that enable real-time decision-making processes with increasing efficiency and cost control as potential results. So before I start introducing the speakers and the program, I'd first like to give a few general practical tips. Next slide, please. So you see here a few important general tips which I'd like to give a word on is, so if there is people in the audience have the mics on, please all turn them off. And also the cameras, please turn them off, and only during the presentation the speaker will turn his camera on. And if there is any questions and answers asked, then it's also nice to have the camera on, of course. The recording is in progress of this session, and questions can be answered via the chat box. And of course, we will share all the slides via the email later. Next slide, please. So I'd like to shortly introduce the speakers of today. So already we heard Bianca Nijhof, and shortly I will introduce Rick Thijssen, Manager Business Development of Vitens, Dutch water utility, drinking water utility. As a second speaker, we will hear Michael To, Director Industry and Technology Collaboration of PUB Singapore. And after that, we will have some questions and answers as well. And so still, if you have questions, please ask them. We will then have Michael. After Michael To, we will introduce 4 speakers from the Netherlands who shortly pitch their technologies and experiences, what they have done, and as well in the Netherlands as in Asia. It's Harold van den Brink of HAL 24K, Jos Willem Verhoef of Optique, Sabine de Miliano, 52 Impact, and Aris Wittenborg of Royal Haskoning DHV. And as final speaker, we will hear Henk Oving. He is Special Envoy for International Water Affairs of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Next slide, please. So today's agenda, where you have registered for, is screened here. And well, I don't go into all the details of the program. The only thing I will ask if the speakers will stick to their presentation time, because we think it's important also to have questions by the audience and the participants, so we can have a discussion amongst each other as well. So please, next slide. This session and water track is having a lot of Dutch and Asian participants. Here is a short list of the participants from the Netherlands side, and in fact you see here that they are from various disciplines in the participation. There is water technology companies on board, there is knowledge and research institutes, there is engineering consultants, NGOs, governmental organizations, and maritime construction companies. Next slide, please. As first speaker, I'd like to introduce Rick Thijssen. He's manager of the business development department of Vitens, the largest drinking water utility in the Netherlands. He's also a member of the IWA Digital Water Program and participating in the SWAN Forum as a member. Rick, may I give the word to you, please?
Yeah, thank you, Hein. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, NWP, for the invitation to join this virtual mission of Southeast Asia today. Thank you for the invitation on a topic which is of very high importance for water utilities, I'm sure quite all over the world, and I will guide you a little bit through our journey so far, and I will end finally with some latest information we are able to share in this field. Next slide, please. Just to have a little bit knowledge about Vitens as a water utility, as introduced by Hein already. We are a dedicated groundwater utility taking care of 35% of the Netherlands. And I think the most important two items to keep in mind for the next 9 minutes are the number of customers exceeding 5.7 million and the tremendous large infrastructure. So you can imagine if we have 50,000 kilometers, it's a serious concern in terms of maintenance and future investments. Next slide, please. And perhaps some of the people in the audience do remember that in previous presentations of the last 5-6 years from Vitens, we always use the sheet showing that Vitens as a water utility, and I think like the other water utilities in the Netherlands, are in a quite comfortable situation. There were no large issues. We are public owned. We have a low cost. We have a low non-revenue water. So there was actually no burning platform for water utilities to bring innovation on top level of mind of the board of directors at water utilities. So we used every time a sheet presenting that we were creating an artificial burning platform to pay attention to the need for innovation every day, every week within a water utility. And one of the large programs we were working on the last 5-6 years was on digital, and I think that's one of the reasons NWP has invited Vitens to be part of this session today. So for sure, in the past, we were sure that we were completely in control, and knowing that we were a little bit conservative type of market partner, and yes, we were perhaps a little bit technology averse. But the world has changed, not only by COVID last year, but if you look at the last 2 years, we were facing extremely hot water in the summer period, in periods May to September. and we were facing a tremendous growth of water demand, which was really, really unexpected by every water utility in the Netherlands. Next slide, please. So this was a list, and because PUB is on board for today, I put him on one, and sometimes we put ourselves on one based on the non-revenue water levels. So this is a KPI we are judged that we are completely in control. So this was keeping us asleep, that there was no issue in terms of leakage and water demand. Next slide, please. This was happening, Vitens, the last 3 years. You see a tremendous growth of water demand based on 2 hot summers in 18, 19, and 20. Next slide, please. And it's not only the total volume on an annual basis, but what you see here, it was actually happening in a summer period. This it means it's the volume, but it's also the volume in a certain time period. And this is key to know, that if you have also the figures of 24 hours water demand, then you see that the morning and the after peaks of water supply are really under serious stress. So it's the volume, it's the timing, and it's the unexpected issue of water demand in a water utility, which was basically in control for the last 10, 15 years. And why is digital that important? In the past 5, 6 years ago, we started with digital because we strongly believe that the infrastructure was a black box. So we were heavily involved in absorbing data out of production and the distribution, water quality, flow pressure, to be able to fully understand what's happening in the infrastructure. So we are very happy that now we are facing this actual problem of drought and water demand, that we are able to have a lot of benefits on the work we have done in the past in terms of becoming a digital or data-driven water utility. And I will show you a few examples for that. Next slide, please. What we did in an early stage, I think 3 years ago, we were sure that digital was basically focusing on 3 domains. One is how we can benefit by making use of digital to influence customer behavior in terms of water demand. 2 is how are we able to have a closer connection with customers to make water and water as a product of importance for our customers all over our supply area. 2 is we were quite sure that digital as a technology domain could create benefits for Vitens in the operations from production up to customer side. So we were very keen on absorbing or embracing opportunities in the IT and data domain. And 3, while doing this, stay keen on what's happening on leakage, both leakage detection, but also leakage localization. So combining these 3 challenges, this is basically covering our digital program, which is still running, but pressed by the fact that water demand was increasing dramatically the last 2 years. Next slide, please. And if you fly like a helicopter over Vitens, you see 2 technology domains currently under development, but also already in operations. On the left side, it's the domain where we have the approach of the digital twin or the smart infrastructure, connecting consumers with smart meters to sensors, and sensors connected to the control rooms at Vitens, 24/7 controlling water quality, but also 24/7 keen on real-time leak detection and leak localization. This is the smart infrastructure we're working on step by step and learning from it. Based on the hot summers, now the additional focus on how are we able as a utility, by making use of data of consumers, to get data into information and to bring this information in terms of usage and behavior back to our customers in kind of support programs. So really communication campaigns to convince consumers that they need to play, and we hope they are going to play an active role in water consumption, and to act as a sustainable consumer related with water. That's on the left side. The other side is that we strongly believe that sensors we are using and data we are using to be able to reduce leakage, but also to have a better view on the condition of a pipeline to avoid any leakage or serious break, that we need to make a huge step in terms of data-driven condition assessments. And that's the reason we have already for a couple of years strong focus on applying inspection robots or inspection tools to be able to predict in advance before a leakage is appearing, that we're able to have maintenance on the hotspots of serious interest. And what we found is that there is a need for a serious step in terms of inspection of condition assessment tools in our infrastructure. And why? The reason is that although we have a very low non-revenue water, which is close to the 5–6%, we felt that there was a need to have a next step in reducing non-revenue water, go to 3%. So one part of the playing field is to reduce water consumption at the consumer side, and the other side is the space we see in terms of improvement where it's related to leakage and condition assessment. And we strongly believe if we work on these two domains, we're able to tackle the issue. Next slide, please. This is just an overview of a residential area up in north in the Netherlands, where we are very active in applying smart meters with our consumers. Different technologies used. It's with data connection real time. It's with drive-by applications. This is the way we try to understand how customers are dealing with the smart meters and the way we are able to influence the behavior of customers in this specific area compared to areas where we have not installed yet smart meters. Next slide, please. The other part of what we just shared with you was the condition assessment space of improvement. And this is what we're going to share from yesterday, honestly to say, that we have accomplished a development which is called AIR, which is an autonomous inspection robot that is compared to existing technologies that you have to bring in and to take out of a pipe, is able to stay in the infrastructure for days and weeks, and is operating 24/7 a day without any interruption of the supply of water, which would affect, of course, the consumer. And this type of developments, which is a combination of robotics, hydroinformatics, data, imaging, data processing, is a tremendous step, we strongly believe, in the water domain for the next couple of years. Next slide, please. And as you see, some images to give you some more details. It's a very complex robot with a length of 1 meter 20 centimeters, having a set of sensors. It's knowing where it is. It will be charged, or the batteries will be charged inside by base stations, so it can stay in the infrastructure for days or weeks, depending on the area they are operating in that moment. Next slide, please. As we just shared, the previous part was really high tech, long investment, high investments in terms of budgets, but also you need to focus on easy solutions. And I have two small examples on the left side in red. Please forget the details, but what we have done is that we have asked customers to make images of the meter readings, and they are normally not easy to read because of dust, of the humidity of the reading glass. So we have developed algorithms that even a very bad quality photo, we are able, with a 99% accuracy, we are able to receive these images from customers, put them in the system, and the system will transfer these images into real meter readings completely automatically, turning finally into an invoice. So we are able, by very simple techniques at the end of the day, to where we are not able to install smart meters, we are able to use smart imaging with algorithms to have readings done by consumers, sent to VTENs, and they are accepted in our systems. And at the right hand side, I think that's the future for now, is having devices at home, smart homes, that customers are able to see on an annual day, or also on single hours, what their consumption is at this stage. And we strongly believe that this is the future for water utilities, what is already happening in the energy sector that will help the consumer behavior for water utilities. And last slide, please. Everything you have seen so far was really send a mention from a water utility, but for the long term, we strongly believe that water utilities are going to change into a water system or water management system where we are getting in more contact with wastewater, surface water, rain, water reuse all over the different rooms at home. This is the future we strongly believe, and we have made now the first step to contribute in the Netherlands to be part of the water system, which is finally, we strongly believe, the final solution for water in the Netherlands. Thank you so far, and I'm open for every question or comment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rick, for your interesting overview. And well, I have one short question, and also please a very short answer because of time reasons. But why is the customer's role that important when we talk about digital water? Because you already talked about the importance of the behavior of consumers, of course. But can you elaborate a little bit on that? The importance of the consumer's role for digital water?
Yes, it's quite an easy answer. If we would, based on the growing demand of water, the time we need to establish new production sites will take 5 to 10 years. So the best way to have an effect in the water demand within 1 or 2 years' time is reducing the water demand by the customer, not by regulation, but by a warm invite from Vitens to be part of the issue and be trying to solve it together to change the behavior and to reduce water consumption.
Thank you, Rick, and look forward to the discussion also with the people from PUB Singapore and you about this very interesting theme. So thank you, Rick, for so far, and see you back during the questions and answers. I'd like to proceed to the next speaker, which is Michael Toh from PUB, the Singapore's water utility and a national water agency. So Director of Industry and Technology, Michael. Please go ahead. Are you there? Yeah. Sound on. It takes a little.
All right. Hi. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please, Michael. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Nijhof, Managing Director, NWP, Mr. Molenkopf. Good day, everyone. Thank you for having me at this important session. I'm happy to join you for this session on digitalization. Actually, let me start by first saying that we are learning, and we're learning from the best, like Netherlands, the US, China, Israel, and many others. In fact, my friend Rick was one of the very first whom I met and learned from when I was the Chief Information Officer of PUB in charge of the Smart PUB program. Before I go into our efforts, let me quickly just introduce PUB to you. I think many of you know PUB, but for the benefit of those who do not, PUB manages water in Singapore in an integrated manner. We are the National Water Agency, and our mission is to supply good water, reclaim some used water, and tame storm water. Singapore, while in the tropics, we are one of the world's most water-stressed countries in the world. We are small, and we just don't have enough space to store the amount of water that falls on our island. So we need to diversify our water resources. We have introduced recycled water, what we call new water, and also we have started using desalination as our sources of water. These are what we call climate resilient sources of water. And we will continue to work with all of you to look out for new solutions to deliver our mission. Next, please. Next slide, sorry, I missed this one. Next slide, please. Why digitalize? Like many cities, PUB faces several challenges, which are increasing water demand, rising costs, aging workforce, higher public expectation. By leveraging on technology, we will be able to what we term future-proof our water supply, which is really means enough water for all of us. It is sustainable, it is carefully used, and discharged back into the environment safe. It is an important task for us. And when we say digitalize, we mean digitalizing to the core. It means using data, connectivity, computing in every aspect of our operation to transform the way we serve our customers. We think it has the potential to increase our productivity and efficiency. And one of the things that we learned is when this pandemic broke out early this year, I think when people are locked up, our vendors and suppliers and contractors are also locked down, it really reinforces our desire to digitalize. Next, please. We have just started. We have put in place a 5-year plan to deploy technologies across the entire value chain of PUB's work. We are not looking at everything. We are very selective. We are looking at Internet of Things, data analytics, artificial intelligence, robotics, and digital twins. In fact, we are very encouraged. We have seen results, and we want to do more. So these technologies are chosen because we think that they provide the most promising applications, which have the largest application across PUB's process. So we are very selective on how we choose them. Next, please. And when we deploy, as I mentioned, we deploy across all aspects of operation, from the first drop of water that falls to the very last drop that gets treated and gets sent back into the environment. So we use it to predict floods. We use it to predict whether there are discharges into our water, because we recycle water in a large scale. So it cuts across every aspect of our work. And we believe that this will help us do our work better, but at the same time, a leaner workforce as well. Next, please. Let me share some examples. We start with plants. We have plants, we have networks as well. I think we are using robotics to help us to capture sensors and robotics to capture more data. We are using enhanced analytics like machine learning to be able to support our technicians, our engineers in their work in O&M, in operations and maintenance, so that they can do their better, but also to prevent them from making more mistakes or mistakes. We are also using robotics because the number of manpower we have will reduce. And so therefore, with larger area, larger responsibility and need for surveillance, we are augmenting robots and drones with our men. So it is not manless, but it is manless. Next, please. Let me talk a little bit about plants. I think Rick shared some very good examples. We are keen to learn from that. But it has also improved, smart technologies has also helped us to improve our network operations. Today, we have more than 300 sensor stations all across our small island to predict water quality, to measure and to monitor water quality, pressure, flow in our network. It helps us to be able to respond better and to supply good water. And in our drains as well, we have 600 flow and water level sensors and CCTVs, and more will be installed. And in our sewers as well, especially when we monitor for illegal discharge that could impact our production of recycled water. And like Netherlands, we are also introducing smart meters to 1 out of every 5 of all our water users. The idea is to really give them a real life speedometer, or what we call water meter, so that they can monitor the consumption and customer can best place to take action to use water wisely. Next slide, please. We have made progress, but we want to learn more. We also recognize that we can't do this alone. We can't innovate alone. We need to learn from others. The industry is a very, very important part of PUB's ecosystem to deliver our mission. Today, we have over 200 water companies across all parts of our water value chain. And in them, we're also happy to say there are many Dutch companies like Royal Haskoning, Deltaris, PWN, who have been excellent partners for us. And we welcome all of you to come to PUB and partner us, work out your solutions, test your ideas, and solve our problems, and together we can export them as well. And one of the initiatives that we do is called the PUB Global Innovation Challenge. Next, please. How do we then reach out? I think like Rick, I think one of the things that Rick taught me was we need to continue to reach out for more. So one of the things that we use is platforms that we can accelerate our discovery and adoption of digital solutions, smart technology. We work with companies to reach out to scientists, to homemakers, to individuals who are not really in the water sector, but they may have solutions for us. So we allow them, we pilot fund, we fund their pilots and test bidding opportunities with PUB. And we have rolled out one, we're going to roll out more in next year, and so look out for this. Next, please. Let me spend a little bit of time here, because I think while we look out for a solution, we also want to provide a home and a launch pad for water companies. So one of our contributions is what we call the Singapore Water Exchange, which my team manages. We provide a home platform where companies can work together day in, day out, work with PUB engineers and push water innovation and expand their business in Singapore and beyond. This is a property. You see the small photo on the left, that's what we have. And today, 26 global water companies call it home. And it is also the home of the Singapore Water Association, which has more than 250 companies in Singapore. And for those who are not in Singapore, you can even, get a virtual space with us. We can keep you informed. We can keep you informed of opportunities and things that we're doing in Singapore. So feel free to join us. Drop me a mail. I can give you more information. So you can see the companies that are on the right-hand side. So these are companies that are already calling us a home at the Singapore Water Exchange. Next, please. And I think lastly, we provide a platform. We bring together regulators, users, the companies, international organizations to the Singapore International Water Week. It's a platform for business, technology, and solutions. It will take place on 20th to 24th of June next year. So we hope that we can see all of you. So in conclusion, Singapore is keen on this journey, digitalization. We have just embarked on it. We fully recognize that we can't do it alone. We need to work with you. We provide you homes. We provide you with a platform so that you can test your technology in Singapore. At the same time, the solutions can also be used globally. So on that note, we thank you again for the opportunity to share, and I look forward to the discussion later. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michael, for your great overview about everything what happens at Singapore and at PUB Singapore. It reminds me also of that I've been several times, of course, in Singapore, and we have good contacts as well with PUB. Even we have set up this partnership with the Global Water Tech Hub Alliance with PUB and Water Alliance, and also great to see what you have done through the years, and hope to stay in touch there. A very short question now, and for you, what are some challenges for PUB in a data-driven business environment?
Thank you. That's a tough question. I think, to be honest, in our journey for digitalization, there are much more positives than negatives. I think we have good results. We are getting much more insights from data to help us with our work. And this COVID pandemic has really affirmed our digitalization plans and to push stronger on this. But one of the areas that we are working together closely to overcome is to get our staff ready to embrace digital. I think there are fears initially about job security, especially among some of the older workers. But surprisingly, they are using it now. You know, they can see the results and it's helping them. So we are quick to promote and to publicize such success. And over time, people are accepting it. So along with digitalization, there must be an accompanying transformation plan that involves the people, every level of the people. So it brings awareness, it helps staff to embrace the technology. And as senior leaders, we need to personally drive it. We need to walk the talk. We need to do the action itself. So it is positive, but I think, as I said, I'm here to learn, and there are much more for me to learn. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I think it's similar themes and issues in the Netherlands as well. So I see also Rick has joined again. So time for one more question also for you, Rick. What are the main barriers within a water utility, or for instance, like Vitens, to accelerate on the adaptation of digital transformation?
I think there are three important barriers. One was mentioned by Michael, which was part of the discussion between PUB and Vitens many times, is aging of staff. Aging of staff is the only way to solve this is to have digital and systems in place. But to have, after the innovation part and the pilot part, implementation is the next phase. And implementation, you are relying on the aged part of your staff. So there is always a conflict in terms of technology and the commitments of people in your company. So it's perceived as a threat instead of it's a beneficial tool. They can make their job even more interesting. They are able to run their operations better. So aging and technology is hurdle one. Hurdle two is legislation. We are in the Netherlands, let's focus on the Netherlands, we have a tremendous active legislation board. And what we see, especially in certain domains, legislation is a serious hurdle. And three is, the more vision there is in a company, the more embracement of technology is available. So we see combination or the direct link between vision and ambition and the adaptation of technology. And that is really important to have a close contact with the board to convince them about the potential.
Okay, thanks, Rick. So, well, I have a few more questions, but due to time restrictions, I will not ask them now. Probably we will also exchange questions, and also, of course, your presentations will be exchanged to the audience. And for your information, I see there is some 118 attendees at the moment, so we have quite a large crowd. And I think it's worthwhile listening to you, and I would thank you both for your presentations, and I'd like now to continue with the following speakers. Thanks, Rick and Michael, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Yeah, so it's now time to have 4 short presentations of Dutch companies who will explain a little bit about their experiences and projects, as well in the Netherlands as in Asia. So let's see, we have 4 speakers there, and I'd like now to introduce Harold van den Brink as first speaker. Can I have the next slide, please? And Harold is in the screen as well. Hi, morning, Harold.
Hi.
So Harold is Director of Asia Pacific of Hall 24K, and tell something about utilization of artificial intelligence to react, diagnose, and predict. Please, Harold, take your presentation.
Thank you, Hein. Thank you, Hein. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning for the ones in the Netherlands. Indeed, I work for a company called Hall 24K, and specifically the water section. I will talk about how we utilize artificial intelligence for the water industry. Next slide, please. So I can place it somewhat into context. So, and with it, I mean our products and solutions. Our intention is to really make the water infrastructure smarter. We see a huge opportunity. And if you look at where we play, is really on kind of like the two most right columns. So really using artificial intelligence and utilizing data to provide decision-making support and ultimately to provide input for semi-autonomous operating systems. Next one, please. And machine learning particularly. So if we talk about AI, we talk primarily about machine learning, deep neural networks, and advanced data science, development of advanced algorithms and models. And it can really turn things upside down or on its head, as it's written here. What you see where it becomes very interesting is that this is the whole evolution, or kind of like the complexity level of physical laws, equipment, predicting how equipment behaves, all the way to really looking at operational data, data at process level, and then actually data at plant level, or even network level, so networks of plants or supply areas. And what we do is, instead of calculating complex behavior, there's an opportunity to utilize artificial intelligence to really determine the root causes of behavior. And that's when you can really start to intervene much more, let's say, strategic, much more effective, actually. And it becomes really interesting if you can involve external factors like weather data or adjacent systems and so forth, so behavior of people in cities or manufacturing facilities and so forth. Next slide, please. So what do we do as Whole 24K? We operate a platform which we call Collaborate, and Collaborate is, well, it has one key component, which is the platform dimension, which is really a data science platform. So that's a data flow tool where we can ingest, structure, and store data, and a data lab where we develop models using all kinds of well, open source and quite common data science tools, which we bring together in that tool. And what we work towards as a first layer is what we call situational awareness. So water utilities or water operators really need to understand first what's actually going on and get an insight into risk. And around that, we build different products, which we do by ourselves. So we develop solutions ourselves, specifically for water utilities. And typically what you see now is that we have products which can be customized and then implemented, first through a trial and then through a larger rollout on different plants, for example, for utility. And we work with partners for specific solutions because we don't think we should reinvent the wheel. So we onboard them on this platform and sell and utilize or implement these tools through the Collaborate platform. And what we really work towards as an initial thing is work towards reacting to situations, making sure that utilities can actually diagnose what happened or what is about to happen. And then what is about to happen is really predicting. And ultimately what we work towards is optimizing resources, avoiding disruption, and save costs, or what we also sometimes call is stripping out risk, stripping out waste, and stripping out costs of their operations. Next slide, please. So to make it a bit more tangible, these are two examples. This is the first one. This is an example where we worked on water quality, basically. So what we did, we developed a model which, well, basically has input the flow of water and also additives or chemicals which are added to the water. And we tried to find a correlation between them, really focusing on estimating the effective dosage of additives and chemicals to achieve the water quality. And I mean, what you see is that it's often happening kind of like just in case instead of just in time, which can have unintended consequences. First, you can use more than what's necessary, or it can actually have an impact which is negative on the water quality. So this model is really developed to get insight into current operations. So again, that situational awareness, and also focused on optimizing the settings of the process to really make sure that you have the intended performance and you meet the requirements. Next one, please. So this is my last slide, and this is really focusing on situational awareness. Again, this is the last example was for a utility in the Netherlands. This example is for a utility in the UK, where we started with clean water, and we are now focusing on water, on sewer water. Here, the intention is really to get good insight into, well, understanding the risks that exist in the operations, because there are multiple systems, there are multiple data repositories, there have been multiple pilots, but what you see, what this utility was struggling with is bringing it all together. So that's what we're doing as a first step, and really get situational awareness, understand risk, and then start to build onto that. If you also saw in the wheel just now that you can start to add solutions. The next phase would be smart filtering, or basically alarm filtering. Really going to root causes of alarms. You have these alarm storms that if there's a major event, that the utility gets sometimes thousands of alarms at the same time. And then where do you start? If you have a proper alarm filter, you can really bring it down the root cause and focus on the alarms that actually matter. And maybe even semi-automatically switch off alarms which are not so relevant, are just ringing because there's a certain root cause which is then identified. So this is one example of what we do. And here again, it's really focused on preventing disruption, on optimizing resources, and ultimately on saving costs for the utilities, so they can reinvest then in better solutions, more of these solutions, to really work towards, well, a digital portfolio of solutions and become a much more, well, digital-driven and insight-driven utility, which is what we support our customers with. Next slide, please. So this is my last slide, a bit of a summary of what we do. I won't read it out, but I'd be happy to answer any questions later, or any questions which you send us by email. Thank you all.
Hi, Mr. Hein, are you here?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it kept on being unmuted for me. Thank you, Harold, for a great overview of all your experiences. And I think it's very important to use this type of artificial intelligence to further optimize resources and avoid disruptions. And I think there's a lot to do in the years, and also with your technology. So. Due to time, I do not have an exact question right now, but might there come a question? I'll be coming back to you after the speakers, Harold. So thank you for your input. And I'd like to go to the next speaker, Jos Willem Verhoef. Jos Willem Verhoef is Managing Director of Optique, a Dutch-based sensoring monitoring company. Real-time water quality monitoring makes water distribution safer, its status. So, Jos Willem, good morning, good afternoon to you as well. Please go ahead with your presentation and keep it in time, please.
Mr. Jos, please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody in Asia. Good morning to the audience in Europe. I'm grateful that thanks to digital technology, I'm able to participate in this seminar out of my home address in the Netherlands. I'm Managing Director and co-founder of Optique, and our mission is to provide real-time water quality data to make water distribution safer. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. Yeah, we are a specialist in water quality monitoring and event alerting. It's all based on our core technology, core product, Event Lab. And just listening to the presentation of Mr. Michael Toh, we are very grateful that we have been working since years with the POB in Singapore in developing our system jointly with the requirements of the Public Utility Board in Singapore. Since 2 years' time, we are part of the DEMCON group. Demcom is a specialist in designing, in developing and producing multidisciplinary systems. And Rick Thijssen was informing us about this inspection robot. For instance, Demcom was part in the development of that product. Next slide, please. The previous slide, please. I think we're all in the water industry concerned with producing, distributing safe water for all. And we see more and more this is an increasing monitoring challenge. Due to time constraints, I will not go into all those pictures on this slide, because I think Hein Molenkamp already described these drivers in the market. But I think in the general summary is to secure water safety, you need to know events as they happen. Quite often we only can respond afterwards, but we think our vision is that you really should be in control as events are developing. That means that new monitoring tools are required. Monitoring tools that will provide us real-time data that can be operated remotely, that can act much faster than we are used to do and in an easy manner. Next slide, please. And it's our understanding that we need real-time monitoring throughout the complete water chain. And we are a bit afraid that if there's an incident, we might lose water consumers' trust. So that's something we really want to prevent. That means that we have to respond to incidents very, very fast and very early. And we see that in some cases, response on incidents is at this stage often too little, too late. Especially sampling is not able to resolve events as they happen. And once you start taking samples, it's very difficult to identify the contamination source. What is the origin of a contamination? And last but not least, we see that the traditional online monitoring tools are often developed for process monitoring and not so much for monitoring contaminants in the network. Next slide, please. So we feel there's a new approach required, a new approach based on data collection and data monitoring. And I mentioned it before, it should be based on real-time information. It should be able to localize the source of a contamination. I think it's important to use a central dashboard, and also very important, it should be cost-effective and low in terms of maintenance. If you need a whole battery of sensors, it will be very costly and very difficult to maintain. So it's our understanding that you need to have an approach where you monitor change of water quality. You have to understand what the basic profile is of the water quality. For that, you need water quality data, and you have to raise a red flag when water quality exceeds normal variations. Next slide, please. And based on this approach, monitoring of changes in water composition, we offer a complete solution for real-time water quality monitoring. So it's not only the sensor, which in our case an optical sensor, which we call Event Lab, but it's also the data transmission infrastructure. So we collect sensor data, we send those sensor data to a central server. We have our own proprietary detection software, and we pull the data or to a central server of a client, off to our own server, and last but not least, we have our own web portal where we give access to all the data and all the sensor information. And a new development is something we are developing in close cooperation with PUB. We also add the sample preservator and auto sampler to our system. So once an event is raised, we are able to set a sample apart and bring this to a laboratory for further verification. We install the sensors, we maintain the sensors, we take the samples if needed. So we really are a solution provider where the complete infrastructure for water quality monitoring is offered. Due to time constraints, I will not put too much effort on monitoring as a service, but we see more and more also in the market that it's not only about hardware supply, but also as to supply the service. But perhaps in the Q&A I can put more emphasis on that. Next slide, please. A few examples of systems of places where our sensors are placed in production plants, in reservoirs, in pump stations, main distribution pipes, and in critical infrastructure. We have projects in Europe and in Singapore and Malaysia as well. This gives you an idea of where all the sensors are placed. Next slide, please. The organization gave me a time slot of 5 minutes, so I'm very much aware that I'm not able to inform you with all the details of our technology and products, but please feel free to contact me at info@optica.com if you need more information about our systems. Thank you very much, Heidi.
Okay, thank you, Jos Willem. And yeah, it's about the 5 minutes, isn't it? We can talk for hours about these interesting new technologies. I'll come back to you probably after the few speakers we have. So then thank you for that, Jos Willem. And I'd like to proceed with Sabine de Miliano. Sabine is co-founder and director of 52 Impact. Please have your presentation, Sabine.
Thank you, Hein. So good morning, Asia, and good morning, or good afternoon, Asia, and good morning to fellow Dutch participants. So yeah, my name is Sabine de Miliano, co-founder and director of 52 Impact, and in the next couple of minutes, I'll try to make it as short as possible. I will take you on a very short journey on how space-based technologies can help organizations to make the transition towards sustainability. Next slide, please. First, some context. Well, we all know that water scarcity and environmental pollution are major challenges in many regions of the world, but fortunately, a growing number of organizations recognize that they need to act somehow. But where to start? Well, at 52 Impact, we map risks and opportunities of sustainability projects. So this means that we can help organizations to select the right location for a project, for example, by identifying water availability risks on a local, regional, or even national scale. In addition, after a project or innovation is launched, we can help to measure the progress of such a project. So let's make this a bit more concrete with a couple of examples. So next slide, please. So the questions presented on this map are actual questions that we're able to answer and have done so already for a number of organizations. So for example, suppose you would like to invest in sustainable agriculture, then you would be interested in knowing the water availability risk of your region of interest. We have created such risk and opportunity maps already for a large part of Africa, and this technology can be easily transferred to Asia as well. I will show you a map example of this in just a minute. So another example you see here is related to waste, which is also a growing problem for the environment. When waste is not properly managed, for example, due to lack of sanitary landfills, this means that people will dump, bury, or burn their waste. This in turn can leak into rivers and other surface water bodies, apart from, of course, other environmental and potential public health issues, of course. We can map this problem also on a regional or even national scale and identify also the regions where the risk of waste leakage into, for instance, rivers is actually highest. In addition, with the aid of satellite technologies, we can also identify open waste dumps from space, and we can track them also over time. So the last example you see here on this map is related to agroforestry, and that's actually currently a project that we're doing in Indonesia for a Dutch customer that invests in agroforestry fields. So we track the growth of their field over time, and yeah, also based on a number of parameters that we can measure from space, combined also with other types of data, for instance, drone information. We're also able to say something about the climate resilience of this agroforestry field. And I will also show you a graphic example of that in a minute. Next slide, please. Then a very short note on our technology. In order to create our maps and monitoring systems, we use a variety of geographic data sets and administrative data. So satellite data is an important component of our maps, and there are currently over 700 Earth observation satellites already orbiting our planet. And together they provide a wealth of information that we can use to either analyze the past, observe the present, or predict the future by using scenario modeling. Next slide, please. I would like to show two graphic examples of our products that relate to the three example questions that I explained earlier in my pitch. So this first one is a set of maps of Tunisia. where we show individual water risk factors and combine all the information in one water availability risk map on a national scale, which is shown on the left here. By the way, I'm living next to a church and it's exactly 10 o'clock, so I don't know if you can hear the sound, but sorry for that. So users of this set of maps get a clear overview at a glance, but they can also drill down to individual map or data components if they would like to do so. And they can use this information to decide where to invest in sustainable agriculture in Tunisia in this case. And yeah, of course, we can create similar maps for Asia, which is one of the advantages actually of using satellite data, because it can capture information of the entire world. So next slide, please. Almost there, to stick in time. So the second example is a live and interactive dashboard that shows the current status and progress of an agroforestry plot in Indonesia by one of our customers, Verstegen. Here we show the effect of sustainable measures that help to save water and become also more resilient to climate change as opposed to regular agriculture. So this particular dashboard is also an open dashboard, which means that actually everyone can visit it online, and as such, this website is also part of the outreach of our customer. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our team. The team of Fit to Impact consists of environmental engineers and data scientists, and yeah, we have years of experience in using satellite data and other spatial data sources for mapping and monitoring in the sustainability domain. So both related to water, but also waste, agriculture. So we all combine it together. Our work is tailor-made. We have experience with both the public and the private sector, ranging from very small companies to multinationals. We're based in Rotterdam, but our clients are located all over the world, including Asia. Last slide, please. So we would be happy to help you visualizing your plans for sustainable water use or mapping the progress of projects that are already in place. And well, we would love to hear if you see any connection to cooperate. So thank you for now.
Thank you, Sabine. And well, we didn't hear the bells too much, so otherwise you would be saved by the bells, isn't it? So
very good, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. If there is any question, we will come back to you after the next presentation of Aris Witteborg. Aris is leading professional in digital smart water at the Royal Haskoning DHV in the Netherlands. So please, Aris, if you have yourself unmuted, take your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Hein. Next slide, please. Yeah, so my name is Aris Witteborg. I work with Royal Haskoning DHV. Royal Haskoning DHV was until 3 years ago a traditional engineering consultancy with about 6,000 people worldwide. But we have undergone our own digital transformation during the last 3-4 years, and we call ourselves now a hybrid engineering consultancy and digital technology firm. As of this year, we have 250 people working on digital consultancy and digital services in the fields that we're working in, of which water is one of them. So we've been working in the water industry, water infrastructure for more than 100 years, and now we've added these digital capabilities, which I will tell you a little bit more about. Next slide, please. Yeah, so when we say digital, there is a lot of different aspects involved, like data engineering, data analytics, predictive simulation, software solutions. So the big chunks are both consultancy. We help our clients in water in their digital transformation. So helping them define their own roadmap in implementing the different steps that you need to become data-driven and digitally transform. And the other big chunk is software that we deliver as either on bespoke software, like tailor-made for a specific purpose, but also we have off-the-shelf platforms to help our clients. Next slide, please. Next slide. Ah, yes, thank you. So our main focus for our services is the digital twin concept, which is about capturing data from the field. And these data streams are getting more larger and larger, growing exponentially, and use these data in data with data analytics to better understand your water infrastructure, like transport system or a treatment plant. And the next step is using these insights to predict the behavior of your real-time asset system. And from these predictions, be proactive in adjusting for example, the operations of the plant, or the design, better ways to improve your new parts of the plant or whatever. Next slide, please. So there's three when it comes to the real solutions. So we do consultancy, but we also do off-the-shelf software solutions. Our flagship is Suite, which is in essence a virtual operator for a water infrastructure, like a virtual operator for a treatment plant, a transportation system. And the virtual operator Suite is aiming to get the most value from your very expensive treatment works or water infrastructure. So it's a machine-to-machine virtual operator, but also it does decision support through data analytics, bringing them to dashboards, telling you about the performance of your plants and advising you on steps to improve the operations of your plant, for example. Suite is used by many utilities in the Netherlands, and also we're working for a PUB in Singapore already. The other two, ambiental and hazard intelligence platform, are more on hazards of flooding, for example, or so that's for water authorities, and the hazard intelligence platform is more for industry and logistical chains, etc. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is what I already told you. So we are both in the field of consultancy, helping our clients in their digital transformation, setting the North Star and developing roadmaps, etc. And all the services that you need to actually implement those visions. Next slide, please. So this is a very, very short insight in what we do in this in the water industry. Please feel free to send me an email if you need more information.
Thanks, Aris, and well, all your contact data are here. So probably there will be a question right now as well. So I propose we will have a very short possibility for a few questions to all the four speakers we just heard. So let's say I see the others coming back in the screen as well. Harold, Jos Willem, Aris, and Sabine. No more Bas or Sabine now. No. Maybe I have a question for you, but let's start with Harold. I have a question here, Harold, to come back to your presentation. How does utilization of artificial intelligence contribute to sustainability?
Well, in many ways, actually, by being more, or by understanding behavior of systems better, you can reduce energy, for example, which is a contribution. Less use of resources like chemicals will be a contribution to sustainability. And overall, getting better insight into water management and water quality is very important. I think one to mention is the avoidance of spillage. So water spills, I mean, they are problematic. They can contaminate areas, and also they're problematic for utilities because there are really big fines associated to it. So avoiding them is something that has a cost benefit, but certainly a climate or sustainability benefit.
So there's a lot of costs and sustainability issues around it. So that makes it so interesting, isn't it, to work on that? So thank you, Harold, for that answer. So Jos Willem still there. So I have a question for you. Can you explain a little bit around your business model, how Optique is dealing with that?
Yes, we have a kind of a hybrid model. We are selling the sensors, we're installing the sensors, and we also charge a monthly fee for the data algorithms. But we're changing also a bit the business model, because more and more we see that clients are really interested in a long-term contract, because we charge with a fee per month. So instead of selling the hardware, we are more and more also interested in selling the data with a monthly fee.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jos Willem. See there. Then Sabine, there's a question for you as well. Are there any limitations on the geographical region and scale to which your solution can be applied on?
Well, thank you for the question. Well, depending on the type of data you're using, clouds may actually pose a problem. Yeah, you have different types. Radar satellites, for instance, they can see through clouds, but optical satellites cannot. So this means that even when a satellite goes over a region every day, you won't have a usable image every day due to weather conditions. Nevertheless, it's still possible to get regular images, even in humid climates like in large parts of Asia. The second limitation is related to scale. So if you want to map small objects, for instance, individual trees, you will need to use commercial satellite data in many cases. This data is available, of course, but depending on the use case and also the frequency of data you need, it may make an information product or map or monitoring service a bit more expensive. Nevertheless, often we can find a good way to tackle these challenges and develop the right service for our clients given the available budget and also the information requirements.
Okay, Sabine, thank you. Thank you. Then well, going back to the last speaker, Aris again. How do I start with implementing the digital twin concept?
Yeah, that's it can sound pretty scary. The digital twin, what is it, and how should I start? But I think it's very important to you don't have to implement a digital twin as a big bang or something. But I think it's very helpful if you develop a vision in let's say 5 years where you want to go with everything that has to do with digitization around these primary processes, and put them in a holistic vision where you want to go, and then develop from there a roadmap. So to find the first step that bring you value in the beginning and go through the roadmap towards your future. So that's it, you should do it in a practical way.
Okay, well, thanks. So I think, well, these were the questions I had to the four of you. Is Rick still around? So I understand that Michael has left the virtual building already. So, but Rick, you're there, yeah? Okay, so if you hear this, Rick, so and listening to all those solutions, and how does that connect to your presentation? Do you see any connections to the daily job you have there?
The sunny part of my job is that there is a tremendous amount of opportunities which are based in artificial intelligence or data science or data analytics in real time. So that's really tremendous at this stage. The issue is, how are we able to prove that the technology is showing the benefits we are looking for as a utility? And I know we are coming from a situation that every development needs to be a positive business case. I think we are going to leave this type of approach. But anyhow, we need to prove first ourselves and our teams before we are going to convince our board to invest. So the challenge is, how are we able within a short time of pilots prove the technology that it has the benefit which was promised by the supplier? And this is really very interesting, but it's very complicated to be very successful. And the number of technologies, it's growing that rapidly that it's quite difficult to pick the right one.
overview all the things which are going on and then decide which are applicable in your utility as well. So, okay, well,
Yes.
thanks, Rick. I want to thank you, in fact, all about your interesting presentations, and we'll make sure that the presentations will be available, of course, for the participants in this session, and they can ask you questions, and if you have your contact data in the presentations, they will contact you directly, I assume. So thank you all for that, and I'd like to continue now with our final speaker, Henk Ovink. If he's still around, his picture is there.
He's still around.
Video is there. Thanks, Henk. So I'd leave the last part of the floor to you, in fact, and could you take us with you with your ideas and visions in this respect?
Thanks, Hein, and thanks all, of course, all speakers on this important global development of digitization in the water sector. We know how important water security is for all, specifically in the current pandemic. Wash your hands is what we say. Well, with over 2 billion people lacking that access, over 3 lacking access to hygiene facilities, and over 4 to sanitation facilities that are safe. Water security is of critical importance for overcoming this pandemic and building back better. And digitization is of critical importance again of that water security. And then with these challenges, it's so great to see that innovative solutions for the challenges are presented by all, and especially in the Southeast Asian region where the mission is focused on. You all have shown that the connections we have from the Netherlands with the region on this theme of water is clear. You work there, you implement projects, and you work with local partners. In the webinar today, we heard about various connections, for instance, between Singapore and the Netherlands, 2 countries with strong ties and strong innovation power, but also a solid base of collaboration. I think that part is critically important too. Technology is part of the trick, but it goes through people and their partnerships, the cooperation between our countries, between the businesses that makes the world tick. And that example is the broad basis that the Netherlands has built in the past years through many programs we have developed with the partners in the region. Besides these broad activities, virtual mission to Southeast Asia, our participation in many events in the region, Asia Water, Singapore Water Week, only recently, the Netherlands has strong and in-depth connections with other countries across the region. Of course, Indonesia, Vietnam, Singapore, Bangladesh, Myanmar, the Philippines, India, Malaysia, Thailand, Japan, and others. So many cross-cultural links and many opportunities to increase water security if we find ways to collaborate and bring our knowledge, our capacity, our technology, of course, also together. Examples of these collaborations have been mentioned in today's webinar, very inspiring, for example, in Singapore, but there are more. The MAC, where we work on nation-based solutions, in Indonesia, on the coast, Vietnam, land subsidence monitoring and securing the Mekong Delta, and now provoking a water as leverage approach for building resiliency along their coast. In Bangladesh, helping develop and now helping implement the Bangladesh Delta Plan, looking at 2100, and not only partnering with Bangladesh, but with many other countries and businesses alike, securing investments, not only for the short, but also the long term. And setting up a global center on adaptation in Dhaka as a hub for the global center in the Netherlands. In Myanmar, where we project opportunities and financial instruments, again through a Delta approach. We'll have a webinar on December 1st, where that will be told. And in India, for example, in Chennai, where we brought with the water as leverage approach, this holistic sustainable approach to water security, mitigating the risks of climate and climate change impacts, and increasing the sustainability for the communities. Scaling that up now, not only across India, but also across Asia. There are many examples of this close collaboration. I think that is at the heart of how we want to work together. Let's continue with this virtual mission as a momentum, a stepping stone, but also as a catalyst for the partnerships. I see many opportunities in the examples presented today, many inspiration also, and we need that inspiration. We need those partnerships. If we look at the challenges ahead, it's only by working together. Secretary General said, Guterres said, this is a time of science and solidarity. Well, you bring in the science, the technology, and the data, but you also bring in the solidarity, the empathy, the partnership. And I think that really is heartening. So thank you very much for that. Really, I want to wish you more good conversations, but moreover, better partnerships in the region to work on water security. Handing it over back to Henk. Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks, Henk, for your wrapping up, in fact, and I think it's important to, as you told, to cooperate. And it's all about working together between people and countries. So thank you, Henk, for your words. And with your words, in fact, we have come to the end, almost to the end of our session. It was great for me moderating it, and I'd like to thank all the speakers of today's session for their interesting presentation. And as I already told you, we got also a lot of questions, and we could not in this short time not discuss all the questions, unfortunately, but we will come back on that. We got a variety of pre-formulated questions also from many of you in the audience, so thank you for that. And we can of course not answer them all right now, but in our feedback we will come back to you and also on the questions. Thank you, audience, participants, and thank you, presenters again. Also thanks to the technical staff behind it, because it's an interesting challenge also to have this done with, in my opinion, almost non-technical problems, and everyone was very well to hear, and I think that's a good thing we see here. So lots of success, everybody, and the rest of the water track and in the virtual mission. This is the end of our session, so I hope to see you one day again, also live, either in Asia, one of the countries, either in the Netherlands. So thank you for your attention, and hope to see you again. Bye-bye.
Re-register now and visit the Netherlands Embassy booth at the Asia Water 2020 virtual event on November 30 to December 2, 2020. Just log on to www.virtual.asiawater.org.